We navigate our everyday lives through a web of invisible, informal agreements. We spot a partner cash or toss keys to a friend, operating on the quiet assumption that people we trust will do the right thing. But when those casual deals inevitably break down, that trust turns into a demand for payback. People seek a resolution that validates their hurt feelings and restores their personal sense of moral fairness. And that is exactly where those emotional expectations slam into the messy reality of small claims court. In this arena, the presiding authority operates under a ruthless philosophy. The law has zero interest in your heartbreak, your frustration, or your personal definition of right and wrong. It only cares about what you can prove. By decoding the harsh axioms handed down from the bench, we can expose the dangerous gap between what people think is fair and what the legal system will actually enforce.
The first legal axiom to understand is brutal but simple. Stupid people give money away. If you transfer funds without documentation, the court defaults to viewing that money as a gift or a terrible investment, not an enforceable loan. Take the case of Fabian versus Incas. A woman wrote $5,000 worth of checks to her boyfriend to bail out his failing food delivery service. Because they were dating, she didn't bother to draft a contract. This chart visualizes that $5,000 debt, which quickly breaks down into a series of absurd rationalizations once the couple split up. The ex-boyfriend claimed $1,000 was retroactive pay for fixing her porch, and the rest was a preemptive Christmas gift she gave him specifically so he wouldn't get a job. To a judge, those stories sound like nonsense. But without a piece of paper clearly defining the terms of repayment, the legal system is forced to untangle the undocumented financial overlap of a romantic relationship based entirely on hearsay. If you subsidize someone's life without a binding document, the law won't swoop in to save you from the consequences of misplaced trust. The second axiom governs commerce. You get exactly what you pay for. In contract law, this is known as consideration, the specific, defined value exchanged between parties, like money for a service. We see this applied in the Passarello case, where a newlywed couple hired a DJ for their wedding reception. They paid a bargain basement rate of $210 for 3 hours of entertainment. But the couple didn't sue over the music. They sued the DJ for $2,110, 10 times the contract amount. Their grievance centered entirely on a camcorder recording of the event. The DJ's phone book ad had promised a free video, and the couple was furious that the resulting footage was dark and poorly shot. This is where the strict definition of consideration destroys the plaintiff's argument. The DJ provided exactly $210 worth of musical entertainment. A complimentary add-on, offered for $0, cannot legally be held to the standard of a professional videographer. The court strictly enforces the exact monetary value of the signed contract. It offers zero compensation to buyers who project unrealistic expectations onto a freebie. The third axiom deals with delegated risk. In the eyes of the court, you hold financial responsibility for the actions of the people you entrust with your property. Consider a crash involving a 2001 Kia Rio. The car's legal owner, a father, handed the keys over to his 18-year-old daughter, granting her total responsibility for the vehicle. Looking at this diagram, we can trace the exact chain of negligence.
The primary owner passes control to his adult daughter. She then hands the keys to her 18-year-old friend, a girl who doesn't have a license. The unlicensed friend takes the car on the freeway and crashes, causing $7,000 in damage. To recover costs, the owner bypassed the drivers and tried to sue the unlicensed friend's parents. The judge rejected this immediately. By giving the car to his 18-year-old daughter, the father delegated the risk entirely to her. Her decision to hand the keys to an unlicensed driver was highly irresponsible, but as a legal adult, it was her responsibility to bear. Liability is anchored to whoever initiates the chain of risk. You cannot legally offload the cost of your poor judgment onto an uninvolved third party. Zooming out from these individual disputes, a singular philosophy emerges from civil court. The legal system operates on the baseline assumption that you are a rational adult, fully capable of managing your own affairs. Whenever you bypass a formal contract to enter into an informal agreement, whether lending cash to a partner, hiring cheap labor for an event, or handing keys to a teenager, you alone assume the risk of that transaction. Surviving the real world requires strict preventative measures. If you want legal protection, you have to put every loan in writing, explicitly define the scope of the services you buy, and keep your emotional relationships entirely separate from your financial ones. When a casual deal goes south, the legal system will only enforce what can be objectively proven on paper. Your demand for emotional justice will be left right at the courtroom door.